Joining us now to talk about this in the Afghanistan situation and the evacuations is Illinois Congressman Adam Kinzinger. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Let's talk about this hard deadline of August 31st. Good idea, bad idea?
Well, it's an arbitrary deadline. Keep in mind, initially, President Biden wanted the troops out by September 11th. He recognized the kind of dumb, date of September 11th for having all the troops out, so he pulled it back to August 31st. So it's arbitrary. I think it has to be based on conditions on the ground. And once we have all the Americans out and every Afghan that deserves it, that's when we leave. And unfortunately, the G7 yesterday, in fact, tried to push President Biden on this issue, and he had his mind made up, and they were dismayed. Our allies were dismayed.
It doesn't seem arbitrary to the Taliban. How concerned are you that they will use that as a date where you may see attacks from radical elements of the Taliban or ISIS?
Well, look, the ISIS threat is persistent at all moments here. In fact, we know of very serious threats anytime before August 30th and after because, they're not coordinating with the Taliban. They just want to kill Americans. They want to kill people waiting outside. In terms of the Taliban, is it a threat? Sure. But keep in mind, and this is, I think, something that we suffer from a little bit of lack of remembering who we are, that we would crush the Taliban if they actually tried something against us past August 31st. We're not seeking to stay there because we, actually secretly do want to have an enduring presence in Afghanistan. But we have a very good reason to be there, which is Americans out and those that supported us. So am I concerned? A little bit, but look, the Taliban can't beat us. They know it, and I frankly think they wouldn't challenge it.
Some of the images coming out of there are obviously overwhelming to look at. Is there blame to go around? You've been critical of former President Trump and Mike Pompeo. You've also been critical of President Biden.
Yeah, look, here's the crazy thing is we've picked sides in this country. So if you're a Democrat, you have to only blame Donald Trump. If you're a Republican, you only blame Joe Biden. And that's that's what we've been trained in now in politics. Here's the truth. Both Trump and Biden have failed the American people in this. And it's okay to recognize that. Donald Trump was saying how unimportant this war was, how we need to leave, how the American people hate it. Well, Mike Pompeo was negotiating with the Taliban. The Taliban are like, yeah, we're going to give you anything. They didn't give us anything in that. It was a terrible deal. And then, of course, Joe Biden could have changed that or executed the withdrawal totally differently. It's okay to blame both sides. Both parties in this case have failed the American people.
What are the political consequences of this, especially regarding Pakistan, maybe nuclear weapons falling in the wrong hands?
The thing I fear, guys, is that this is actually kind of a tectonic change. Losing Vietnam is one thing. We left Vietnam. We were losing thousands of Americans, so it was somewhat understandable. We haven't lost an American in Afghanistan in a year and a half. This was a loss by choice. Even if people don't agree with staying there, you can't disagree that we lost on our own choosing. This has shaken the faith of our allies. Their NATO allies have said we don't know what the future of NATO is. And I fear that this kind of pivot towards China away from the Middle East as a way to strengthen us there has actually made us weaker with Middle East, China, and Russia. So I'm very fearful of what this means.
All right, Congressman, we appreciate you joining us this morning.
Thank you. Anytime.